Alright, this is how to get some of this and some of this action going on. Okay, so let's see here. So you basically need to, I don't know, get your headlight or whatever, get your separated mesh for your immersive texture to go onto, which sits in front of your normal mesh. The lighting that I'm using is, I can't read, photometric light, which is just here, and I'm using the free light. Let's see. The settings I'm using is for shadows. Obviously, turn them on. I think it comes off, so you want to turn that on, or nothing's gonna happen. I'm using mental ray. If you want to try this other shit, go for it. It usually comes in this default, but that's junk. So if you're gonna use mental ray or ray traced, you're gonna want to come up to your render setup. Wait 30 minutes for that to load, and then change it to mental ray or whatever other one you want to use. Usually it's this default, so just change it over to mental ray if you're going to use that. And that takes a while to load. I don't know why it's loading now. I don't do anything. I'm just going to change this to that. You have to do that, that doesn't matter. So light properties, I don't know what this really does. I don't think it really matters. Well, obviously when this determines if the light is on or off. That's pretty important. Oh, no, that does. That doesn't really matter. This value changes this if it's on. You can mess with that. That's all up to you. I'm just using. You can pick any of these if you want. Like a. Let's see what this does. I don't know. Yeah, you can change whatever light you want, I guess. There's a bunch of them. I don't even know what this one is. I don't know. You can choose whatever. I guess you could try and think about it like, what type of lighting is your car, and then if it's a HID, boom, there you go. Or if you just want a halogen light, which I'm pretty sure this is a halogen light, so I'm assuming it's halogen cool, because I think that's what this one's using. Yeah, that's what I was just using for this one. And then the intensity, that's how bright the light is on the texture. So how like bright, I guess this main value is, and how far it spreads and all that stuff. So depending on whatever, you know, just mess with that value until you get a good result that you're happy with for either this rendering or this one. But obviously you'll just set something up so you just see it in the viewport on high quality and go, oh, it looks alright, whatever. That's fine. You could mess with this if you want. I'm not. I don't care. Emit light from a shape. So as you can see, there's a sphere around this little orb here. So I don't really know. I just put it to that because it seems about right for what I'm doing. Change that to any of those, whatever you want. The radius is obviously how big it is, or the radius of the shape. I've just got this turned on. I don't know what it does. I just left it on 32. Shadow parameters, default, mental ray shadow map. I upped this. I don't think it did anything. Maybe it does, I'm not sure. You know, mess with whatever little settings you want. You could add one of these you want. You could add that, I don't know, half this shit does. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you mess with these values and stuff, that's great. But now you're probably like, okay, I've got my fucking orb set up, my ball, my sphere, whatever you want to call it, for the Parker and the low beam, high beam. Now you want to render it to a texture, right? Obviously you're going to need a UV map it whenever. That doesn't really matter. You can do that before, now, later, tomorrow. Who cares? But you want to select the mesh you're trying to render the lighting to. Go up to rendering, render the texture. I've got it open down here. And obviously you could do multiple meshes at once, but I'm just gonna keep it simple, do one at a time, because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. You can use, mapping, I'm sure you already know how to use it, so you can just pick which UV channel it renders to, so you could have multiple, I don't know what you're doing, so shit. Or you could let it unwrap it for you and set up a UV map for you. If you don't want to do it yourself, it can do it for you. Then you want to come down here, this won't be here, so you want to come down here, add a lighting map, and then pick whatever resolution you want. I'm going to use 768. Change the name, change where it exports to in the file type. It's up to you. And then, shadows, lighting, all this shit, and just hit render. Now, the result you get in this render box, I don't know what they call this, the render viewfinder or something. I don't know, my computer's frozen. Okay, so this is not your final texture. This is just, I don't know, just letting you know that it's finished, basically. So get rid of that dog shit. Go into your documents, 3ds Max, screen assets, images, whatever your object is called, and then lighting map. So then you just come in here in Photoshop or whatever program you're using, and there it is. There's your fucking texture for the cup. And if you want to use this instead of these different values or this here, do that. But you're probably wondering, how do I get this? Okay, so obviously you get your headlight glass. Now I've made a custom bump map on mine, and I've set the value to 100. When you're putting a normal map in 3ds Max, you want to use the normal map, normal bump. I don't know what's that called? I have no idea. Material. You want to use the normal bump material, and then you want to always flip the green, because for some reason 3ds Max thinks it's the other way around, but it's not. So always check that, so your normals are correct with your game, unless your game is whichever way, I don't know. But with the set of course, which I'm using this for, you will want to flip that so you get the correct result. Obviously add your texture down here. I don't know, for some reason if you want to add tiling to it, you can. Map channel 1, that's what mine's on. Once you've done that, you want to just max out this value. I think you can add more. Yeah, I'm just going to set it at 100. Keep it simple-ish. It's usually around 30 from the start, but depending on your normal map, I guess you can change this value to whatever you want. You're also going to want to flip the normals so they're facing the lights. Usually they'll be like this, of course, so you can see them from the outside, but you want to flip them so the light hits them, bounces, and creates the texture that you want. Same thing as the mesh here. Same thing as the mesh here. You want to obviously, it should 9 times out of 10 it's probably already UV map, so you can just use that map for the texture. Add this here. Fill this, set this all up again. Add more padding if you want, whatever you want to do here. Change whatever resolution to whatever you feel comfortable with, and just hit render. Now you're probably like, what the fuck is this shit? This looks nothing like... I'll just open it from here. That's great. You're probably like, what the fuck is this dog shit? This is cancer. This looks like crap, dude. No, that's not it. It's down in here again. You always remember that, because it can be a little bit like confusing sometimes. Obviously your object name, and boom, there it is. Oh, it's a bit different. That's fine. Alpha is just, I don't get that. But yeah, there you go. That's it. It's pretty simple. Well, sort of. But you could render both of these at the same time, but if you know, obviously it's going to use the same, I don't know. Obviously, if you don't want them both on at the same time in your game, you know, turn this one on and keep this one off, so that way you can have just this one be separated from this one, this rendering. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, dude. Like, honestly. Enjoy.